We from the bottom, ain't no problems, we gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays. Hey, look, don't worry, we gon' be okay. Hey, look, why? Cause we gon' make them pay.
What's going down, gamblers around the world? It's the coach here representing Brothas N Bets, and I'm here with my man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. He's kind of blending in with his background, Marley Bets. Marley, what's going down?
What's the deal, dog? I'm good. I'm tired. Just got out of practice, same old routine, but shit, let's get it in.
And we're joined by a special guest, a man that's been holding us down during our MLB show during my off season and the summer all together, Mr. PicksFromDave. Picks, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. PicksFromDave. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
First show, first time here. It's a pleasure having you on, and it's a pleasure to meet you. What's going down, man?
I'm glad I could jump in and help during MLB, and man, I can't wait for football. I mean, it's already going, but this is the best time of year. I'll tell you what.
Where are you from, man?
So I'm originally from Southern California.
Okay.
Go Trojans. But I live in Arizona now. I moved there this year.
Yeah, you sound like you're from Canada. A little bit of Canada. Have you ever heard that before? No. Or am I tripping?
I get Washington and Oregon. You look like a lumberjack and all that stuff. But I have no problem with being a honorary Canadian. Love the Canadians. Pretty fine ass women up there.
Oh, I need to go. Never been. But we're gonna talk about these college football games, and unfortunately, the man who had a great outing with our picks based on our show last week is not here, and that's Flat Top, and he was begging for a good week. You know what I'm saying? He was hoping for a good week, and he went 3-1. Meanwhile, I went 1-3. We hit that Florida money line, but I went 1-3. Marley went 2-3 on his picks, but on his Twitter special, he went 3-0. That's why you got to follow us on every different platform.
Twitter.
You on Twitter? Post on Twitter. Sometimes I post my play. I like to post my plays on the Instagram page, and that's why we tell them it's in the description. Y'all subscribe to everything that we do because different picks go different areas. You know what I'm saying? But it's a bounce back week. We got several games going on. Are there any takeaways that y'all want to talk about over the weekend? Mine first, Florida State. We're not back yet. Okay. We got to keep chipping. Honestly, we should have blew them out, and then at the same time, we should have lost that game. But we're not there yet. Give us some time. That's what I got to say about Florida State. And I'll end this with this. Georgia got some more first-rounders on every level again on that defense.
After what game you think that?
They do. They went over during the pregame. They got a defensive tackle. Oh, boy, that if you've been on Twitter, Instagram, you've seen that he ran over. He took on somebody. But yeah, they every level. They got a DB, a linebacker, and a defensive lineman. First rounders. But go ahead. What are some of y'all takeaways from this past weekend?
Dave, you want to take it? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll say about LSU, FSU. They both looked rusty. Something was wrong. They both didn't look that great. I'll say that I really like the Seminoles quarterback. And I wondered where that last drive was for LSU. Who knows what's going on with those two teams? I can tell you this: neither of them are, going to be contending for any sort of championship in either of their conferences. That's for sure. I'm sorry, I know you're a Florida State fan, but I do like the quarterback. And I'll say that I think Oregon. You mentioned Georgia. I don't necessarily think Georgia's good. I just shows that I think Oregon's overrated. I think that Oregon's not a good team this year. I don't know if it's losing their coach. That just showed you how much better Marley's SEC is than the rest of the country. Because Oregon's one of the top three teams in the Pac-12, and they got stomped.
Yes. Well, I guess that means it's my turn. First takeaway, all hail the SEC.
13-1. 13-1 over the weekend. Only loss being LSU in Florida. LSU is king. I mean, SEC is king. Let's not forget who the fuck runs this shit. And I've been telling y'all for about a month now when we was going all over the other conferences and everybody want to boss. I hope you catch this. I hope you catch it at this moment. Or if you don't, I hope you go back and watch this moment at the 7-minute mark. Because I think you was talking about Louisville when we talked about the ACC. They went and got their ass whooped by Syracuse. And I think Syracuse is a tough team. But those other conferences, and not all of them, and not all teams, but they don't measure to big boy football in the SEC. Utah, you Pac-12 shit, and I respect Utah, best team in the Pac-12, can't beat a 3rd, 4th, 5th ranked SEC team because we know they're not 2 or 3. So we're talking 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th first-year head coach. But one takeaway, another takeaway I have is we're going to fade Clemson. I think the ACC is wide open. I don't think Clemson looked – I mean, Georgia Tech was in that game all the way up until halftime. It took a backup quarterback to come in and kind of give them a little spark. They ran away late, but I like what I saw out of Florida State. I think they got a chance. If you can score just that Clemson defensive line, though, that shit is for real, though. That front, that's an SEC front. That's a big boy front. So – good defense, unders with Clemson, fade Clemson maybe, big games.
They need to go ahead and make that change. Girl.
Yeah, the QB's trash.
They need to go ahead and make that change.
They might need to. But that was my 2 main takeaways. SEC king, at least for 1 week, 13-1.
It's not sweet. Oh, did you saw them boys cramping up in the swamp?
Yeah, boss. Another thing, boss. Yeah, we will talk about that.
Cramping up.
Toe boys. You can't just come here for 3 days
come over
for a week
start
and
running
think
around.
you're gonna adapt to the identity. It's not fucking possible. You can't even. They tried to. Did you hear the announcer? They tried to simulate it. They cut the AC off. They shut all the doors in the inside practice stadium. They watered the grass. None of that shit worked.
Well, Big Boss did go 2-1. He did all right.
No, he did his thing. I'm just talking about that specific game. I'm only fucking with Boss because he's an ACC hater.
Yeah, I got you.
We got Ragu on the show next week.
All right, well, man, let's. Oh, no. We can't not skip this. We can't skip this.
Grandma?
No. Dave, talk to us. SC, what you think? New era over there.
Well, here's the deal. They beat Rice. Congratulations. You know what I mean? Like here's the deal. That's a good practice game to get going. I don't think Utah's not the best. After what I saw, where SC can go and Utah. Here's the deal. Look at Cam Rising's stat line. Even though I think Florida had a really good defense, he wasn't the Cam Rising that we saw last year. Maybe he was hurt. I think at the end of the game there was something going on. But then that's just good for he's going to play hurt all season. Great. SC looked good, but they really don't celebrate too soon. We need to if we beat Utah in Utah, then there's something to be said. But SC's known for my entire life for beating a Utah and then losing to UCLA in the last game of the season to screw everything up. So,
that's what you
game
think.
at a time,
I'm loving those things.
Hey, SBO, we about to get ready to cover that. And we can
I don't think we covering
Otis says
we're covering one of them, not the other one.
Yeah, it is. And Otis said SC look Chris. I don't trust Alec Grinch on defense, but we'll see. He should have went after Gary Patterson, but that's a whole nother subject.
That might have been nice.
So let's jump right into it, fellas. It's only us three. The way I like it because it makes the show go a lot faster. And if there's some games that we like separately against, obviously you can try to catch our quick picks. Now I know the games that we didn't cover, man, I only lost one of them. And I would have had a pretty good night. But I know I hit yesterday. Shout out to Clemson. You scared me a little bit. Pulled through. Had a big cash out. So I'm feeling good. Waiting for that money to hit. Should have hit, but some stuff that these books like to do to try to keep you and entice you to keep your money in, but they ain't gonna get me. Anywho, Louisville taking on the Cardinals. Big Boss, I think this was his sleeper team during our previews of the conference. This game's going down Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time at the FBC Mortgage Stadium, home of the Knights. We got the Louisville Cardinals 0-1 against the spread going on against the UFC Knights, 1-0 and 1-0 against spread. You know what else? A lot of those big spreads hit over the weekend as well. When these teams were taking on these smaller teams, I was thinking earlier, like, damn, we could have cashed on Michigan State and Michigan and just a whole bunch of teams that just went to work on their spread. But this line opened up in favor of Louisville of UCF -6. This line now sitting at 6.5, and the total opened up at 61.5. And right now, there hasn't been any movement on that line. Let's get to these extra factors, which are going to be, some are going to date back to last season. Some of them are going to be a little bit more, just depending on what the actual factors are. But let's start off with Louisville. They are 2-5 against the spread in the last 7 games. The overs hit 4 out of the last 6 games. They are 2-5 straight up in the last 7 games, 2-9 straight up in the last 11 games on the road, but 15-5 straight up in the last 20 games against an American Athletic Conference opponent. The unders also hit 5 out of the last 6 games in the month of September, and they are 4-8 against the spread. Is this game going on Friday?
Thursday, I think.
Okay. So they are 4-8 against the spread in the last 12 games when playing on a Thursday. Actual facts for UCF. They are 7-1 straight up in the last 8 games, 8-0 straight up in the last 8 games at the crib. The overs also hit 4 out of the last 5 games against an opponent in the ACC. They are 5-13 straight up in the last 18 games played in the week 2. But they are 4-2 against spread in the last 6 games when playing at the crib on the Thursday. And the overs hit 8 out of the last 9 games whenever UCF plays when they play in the month of September. There are any injury reports for Louisville right now, and wide receiver Armani Johnson, he is questionable for this game. Like I said, we talked about earlier, Louisville lost 31-7 against Dino Babers and the Syracuse Orangemen, while UCF took on South Carolina State and won 56-10 while covering that spread. So I'm going to let you start off with this one, Mr. Marley Bets. Marley, do you have an official play on this one?
Mr. Dive himself.
Dive. Get a luck pass, and then boom, celebration in the locker room.
Louisville got smashed, man. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Big Boss is kind of on the team. I don't think they're as bad as the score indicated. I do believe Syracuse is a tough team defensively. Tough place to play sometimes. I think 6 is a bit much. I'm off of this game. If I took a lean, I would probably lean over. I think defense is going to be less than desired in this game. Both of these defenses, and I'm going back to last year, Louisville gave up 31 points a game, and they only got 7 coming back, mostly linebackers and both their cornerbacks. But I mean, I can't expect you to cover if you can't stud up against Syracuse, then I don't expect you to be able to stud up against UCF. Even though it's a completely different style of offense being played, but I mean, I'm just not high on this team. I believe that Malik Cunningham in the offense can get more than 7 points against this UCF defense. They're also bringing back 7 DN tackle cornerbacks. It's kind of mixed batch of things on the defensive side for UCF. But going back to Louisville, we just talked about Dino Babers' offense. I mean, it's not a scoring. They're not trying to score 31 points by no means. You know what I'm saying? They are a dive, run the ball team. Maybe try to sneak a play action in here or there, but they're not trying to put up as many points as they did on this Louisville team. I'm just completely off this game. It's just not something that I desire. If I do make a play, I would lean over 61.5 because I don't think anybody's going to really be able to stop anybody in this game. I think we'll get a shootout. But as far as the side, I don't think Louisville's that bad. And I don't think UCF is as good as they showed against South Carolina State, 56-10. I believe that score was. So I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think a touchdown might be a little bit too much for Louisville, but I'm off this game. I don't want no part of this.
So Dave, what you got? What's your play? You got a play on this one?
I hate to do this, my first, pick analysis, but I almost agree with everything Marley said. I mean, I'm not a Malik Cunningham fan, first of all. I've seen him lay it. He's got all the athletic talent in the world. I've seen him lay an egg. It's probably the reason why he's still a quarterback and not in the NFL is because he's not that good. UCF, both of these teams the past few years, when I bet on them, I've been wrong. Like I said, they just lay an egg. I index games. I have Louisville as almost a 3-point favorite. So you'd think I'd like to take UCF here. But again, two disappointing teams. Two teams I don't necessarily fade. I just fade betting them, period. So the only bet gun to my head would be the over. But this, both teams, like I said, could lay an egg. So I'm way off this game.
All right. Yeah, downplay right on the nail. I'm on this game. I am definitely going to jump on it. Returning quarterback Mikey King, he took over after Gabriel got hurt and now transferred out. Year 2 with Gus Malzahn's offense, which is a little still similar to what they've been running in the past with Josh Heupel and Scott Frost. Louisville sucks. Louisville's trash. I was surprised when Big Boss was like, yo, I like this team. But Cunningham, he has not showed me nothing. They run the stretch. That's pretty much they game stretch, read option, and scramble. He doesn't have the receivers like that. They're going into a hostile environment. I guess Ragu called it the bounce house, but they do get jumpy in primetime game. The only issue is everybody's going to be tuned in to the Thursday night game between the Rams and the Bills. So a lot of people, aren't going to be betting on this. That's why the line movement ain't moving like that. But I'm going to take Louisville for the first – not Louisville. I'm taking UCF for the first half, -3.5. And honestly, I believe they can cover this 7. I think they can win this by at least 14 points or more. So I kind of want to take this full, but I'm just going to take that first game in, get out, tune back into that NFL game for sure. Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. I am the coach. That's Marley Bets, and we are joined by special guest Picks from Dave. And we in here trying to make this bread real quick. Let's get to our next game. But first, just a reminder, tomorrow is our first NFL show going down. It's 9 p.m. Central Standard Time because we are in the South, in Texas at that matter. So you can catch us tomorrow and every Wednesday for our shows, man. Be sure to tune in. The same thing as goes out on the NCAA show. We will have special guests, special handicappers coming in to help us out. All right. With that being said, let's jump into another very interesting game. In fact, one of our day ones, Big Boss kind of was talking about, not Big Boss, excuse me. SBO was talking about this, and we're talking about the UTSA Roadrunners. This was one of my picks. I thought U of H was going to come out. They started slow, but at the end, I got hosed with the old, 2-point conversions in the third overtime deal. Anywho, the Roadrunners 0-1 on the year, but 1-0 against the spread, taking on the Army Black Knights, who are 0-1 and 0-1 against the spread, taking that L against Coastal Carolina, which was actually a pretty good game. This line opened up in favor of UTSA -1. Right now, that line has moved back to -2, and the total opened up at 54, and right now that line is at 54.5. Let's get to these actual factuals real quick. UTSA 12-5 against the spread in the last 17 games. The overset 5 out of the last 5. They are 12-3 straight up in the last 15 games. 6-1 straight up in the last 7 games on the road. 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games when playing in the month of September. But 3-6 straight up in the last 9 games when played on week 2. And the overset 5 out of the last 6 games whenever UTSA does play on the road. Now, Army 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 games. They're underset 4 out of the last 5 games. They are 5-2 straight up in the last 7 games. 4-1 straight up in the last 15 games at the crib. The totals also at 4 out of the last 5 games in the month of September. 5-1 straight up in the last 6 games when playing on a week 2. And they are 2-4 against spread in the last 6 games when playing at the crib on a Saturday. Injury report: D'Anthony Lewis, running back, he is out for the season for UTSA, and there aren't any injuries right now for Army. Like we talked about earlier, Houston edged out UTSA in the Alamo Dome in third overtime, 37-35, while Army took an L, 38-28 against Coastal Carolina. So with that being said, Marley, do you have an official play for this one?
I do. I'm on my road runners, man. I told people I took U of H. Obviously, I was a homer. That was one of my Twitter plays. I money lined it. But when we did the show, I gave them -4, so that's kind of why you gotta watch Twitter. But also during that same show, I was telling people I was on UTSA last year. I think they won like 10, maybe 11 straight games last year with a extremely high power offense. If I have my notes right in front of me, I know they were averaging over 30 points a game. But just going back to last week, even though they was in that game from start to finish, they were up. They kind of gave the game away. Honestly, with that Houston game, I think they were up 2 scores before Houston came back. Yeah, they were up 21-7.
Yeah.
In the third quarter, Houston scored 7. It was 17-3 in the fourth quarter. If you want to say it was a collapse, Tune didn't get it going until pretty much the fourth quarter. But that UTSA offense is for real. I think that was O that mentioned it earlier. Mentioned the quarterback. He talked about that boy Frank Harris. And he went 28 for 43, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Kid was balling. And I know their defense gave up. They collapsed late, but Houston is a high-powered scoring offense. At least we expected them to be. Now, they do got to worry about the triple option, obviously, with Army. That's the thing. Coach put me on Army years ago. But I think that's true, Don. They haven't played them before. I don't know, because UTSA is a very new program. I don't even know, have they played Army before? And that's one thing that's making me lean. I gotta find my notes, but that's one thing making me lean toward the over. I'm on UTSA money line. I think they outduel them. I think this game will be a high scoring game, kind of like UTSA's games with Army, but without the overtimes. I think they can get enough stops. I believe in this UTSA team. I like UTSA on the money line. I actually like the over as well, 54.5 points. Put me on both of them. I like Frank Harris. Obviously, Army is Army, man. They're going to run a triple option. It's assignment football. If you blow an assignment, you could lead to a 65-yard touchdown score. So that's nothing new there. Everybody that knows anything about Army, that's how that's going to go. Ballard, yeah. Go ahead.
So you like UTSA -2 in the over or the under?
I like the money line, and I'm going to take the over.
All right, money line and over.
What the fuck are my UTSA notes? But yeah, put me on the money line and put me on the over.
Over 54.5. All right, Picks by Dave. Do you have a play for this one, my G?
So I'm going to cap this right on the show because I could go 3 different ways with this depending upon the answer to this question. But just to answer the question in the chat, these 2 teams have played. They played on October 17th in 2020. Army won 28-16. And they played on September 14th, 2019. Army won 31-13. Though neither of those were last year was UTSA's year. Those were years before. But here's my question. And I know Marley has this because he has that Athlon Bible that he has. How many returners on each side of the ball does UTSA have? Can you look? Is that easy to find?
8 on offense. Only thing not coming back on offense is the running back and the left tackle.
Okay.
Tight end, excuse me. And then you got 5 on defense returning.
Here's why I say that. So I index this game. Army is a 3.74 favorite. I'm tempted to go with Army. But what I like more is, listen to this. This was last year UTSA. Against San Diego State, 62 points. Western Kentucky, 90 points. Now, that was a team that was, hot on offense too. Texas, 68 points. UAB, 65 points. Southern Miss, 44 points. That was the lowest one. I mean, these boys score points. Army just hung 28 the other day. And the thing about Army is they're one of the teams that, even though they run the ball all the time, they run at fast pace and they can score points with a running offense. I mean, that's what that program's done forever. So I don't think Army can compete with UTSA in the air. And I wasn't impressed with UTSA's defense. So my official play is the over.
I like it. I'm with you.
And I like Ragu's pick too. I just think, and I still might bet it later on, I just like the over. It jumped out at me.
All right. Yeah, I'm staying off of this one. If I were to make a lean, I think Army will win this one, to be honest. At the crib, managing the clock, a team like UTSA that likes to go fast and score points. When you are going against a team that likes to slow it down and you like to go fast, and all of a sudden you getting 3 and out, or you only get the ball once, like for 4 minutes in a 4 out of the 11 minutes, the difference. I'll have to lean on Army for this.
Doesn't Army run the hurry up a lot though?
They sometimes, but they will snap it at like 5.
Yeah,
they'll hurry up and get set, and they go for it on 4th down for sure.
Yeah,
But I'm definitely gonna stay away. But I am kind of with you guys. I like that over.
Real quick, my thing with this, everything y'all are saying, including Ragu, is true, right? But that's assuming that Army is playing with the lead. If UTSA jumps out in front, it's going to be hard for Army to catch up. So that's the concerning thing. And they got an offense. Let's say they get the ball first. If they go score and Army doesn't, and they end up scoring again, that game could be over early. And that's my concern with taking Army. Because this offense score.
But see, you see, the same situation happened when they went against Coastal Carolina. Coastal Carolina jumped out on them.
They ultimately lost
chipping
game.
Away.
They're not a good shootout team.
Who?
They need to play from. I mean, they ideally, if you're Army coach, you want to play with the lead and then run the clock out.
Correct. But they were in a situation to where they cut it down. They cut the points down to 3, and there was a chance to take it over. But as Coastal Carolina was still several 6th, 7th year seniors. My concern is UTSA's defense is trash, and they like to go quick. I'm just saying, and Otis can attest to this. When you are a fast, high-paced offense, the name of the game is do not let that offense on the field. We're gonna manage the clock, and it just so happens they're going against a team that even if it wasn't a case, if it was a slow team or a fast-paced team, they control the clock all together. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with you on the jumping out early, but just in my opinion, I've seen Army in these positions before. UTSA's defense isn't good enough that can be able to stop this. Offensively, yeah, they got some on offense.
Is Army's defense good enough to slow their offense down?
So no, but look on the average. How much did Coastal average last year?
Points or yardage?
But Coastal used to run it up, and they only got 38 on them. I tuned into the game for a little bit because I took away. 38 is not a lot for Coastal Carolina's sake. I mean, we used to see them in the 40s.
38, Army loses.
We'll see. I'm going to take the clock management team versus the trash team. If I was to make a lean, seen this before. Even last year with Wake Forest, same situation. Wake Forest jumped out by 3, chipped away. Let's see.
UTSA.
But anywho, I don't have a play on that. Say it again.
UTSA and over.
Get your money, playboy. I ain't fucking with it, but that's my lean. All right, let's get on to some real football. We got Alabama traveling to Texas to take on one of 2 Texas teams of this year. Going into Austin to take on the Longhorns. Alabama 1-0 against the spread. Made me some money quarters. I love betting Bama and quarter bets. Taking on the Texas Longhorns 1-0 against the spread. This game's going down at noon Eastern Standard Time in Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. This line opened up in favor of Bama minus 19 right now. We have it at 20, but looking at these updated notes, it had majority of everybody does still have it at 20. There are some 21s out there if you like in Texas on the other end. The line also opened up for the total at 62 right now. That line, 62.5, excuse me. It has gone down a full point. Get to these actual factuals real quick. For Bama, the totals hit 4 out of the last 5 games. They are 9-1 straight up in the last 10 games, 8-1 straight up in the last 9 games on the road. The overs hit 5 out of the last 6 games against a Big 12 conference opponent, 10-0 straight up in the last 10 games, and 13-7 against the spread in the last 20 games when played on a Saturday. Longhorns, they are 2-6 against the spread in the last 8 games. The unders hit 6 out of the last 7. They are 2-6 straight up in the last 8 games, but 11-4 straight up in the last 15 games at the crib. 8-1 straight up in the last 9 games in the month of September, but 4-9 against the spread in the last 13 games played in week 2, and 1-6 against the spread in the last 7 games played on a Saturday. Injury reports: Cameron Latu, tight end, he is questionable for this game. Aaron Anderson, wide receiver, he's out indefinitely, along with JoJo Early, he's out as well. For Texas, Junior Aguilar, the old offensive line, excuse me for butchering it, he's out for the season with the ACL. Isaiah Nair, he is out as well with the knee. Alfred Collins, defensive line, is questionable for this game. Last week, Bama blanked Utah State 55-0, while Texas won 52-10 against Louisiana Monroe. So with that being said, Picks by Dave, if you got to play for this one, I'm going to let you go ahead and start this off, my guy.
I do. So this weekend, I mean, we've had some really good games. Last weekend were just good matchups. I think there's a lot of put up or shut up games this week. We're going to talk about, even though I don't have a play quite yet in that game, like Oregon State or Fresno State. They're playing each other. Fresno State could possibly make a bid towards going into the Pac-12 if USC's gone, and then Oregon State, they're supposed to be a lot better this year because they've been dog shit before. So this is another game. Texas. I do not likes in this. I have a lot of reasons not to like Texas. I don't like, the 2006 Rose Bowl was the worst football game I've ever seen.
Oh, that was the best football game ever.
No, that was the worst one. And I got kicked out of a lamppost pizza for throwing a beer glass at the wall when Vince Young scored that touchdown.
H-Town.
It's funny. Everybody remembers where they were at during that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that game of any
I remember
game.
exactly where I was at.
That's like when Kennedy was assassinated. Everyone from that era, they know where they were at, dude.
It's like the best college football game of the decade.
Well, it was. It was a fantastic game. I was on the wrong side of it. I don't like Matthew McConaughey and his stupid hook thing that he does. That bothers me too. A lot of things about Texas Longhorns bother me, except for Austin's kind of a cool place and the girls are really attractive. But I think this is a game, even though I'm not going to even talk about Bama. We all know about Bama. We could talk. They've been
right.
It's boring to talk about them anymore. But here's the deal. Texas has the pieces on offense to at least keep this semi-close. I mean, they've got a prospected quarterback that's just as good as anyone in the country as far as a prospect goes. They've got a healthy running back, and they've got a wide receiver who's supposed to be a dude. If this becomes a shootout, I think this is a deal. You have to score 3 touchdowns. You can't cover 3 touchdowns at home. If you're supposed to be turning this around, Sark, who also I have issues with being a USC fan. If they can't cover 21 points at home against the best football team or the worst football team or whatever, they should be shunned. So my pick, and I have it at 20.5, is Texas with the points. That's what I'm taking. And it kills me to take that bet, but I like it.
All right, Marley, do you have a play for this one? By the way, the first half line is 11.5 for Alabama. I'm just going to throw that out there. Go ahead, Marley.
All right.
That was a full game still.
We from Texas. It's a lot of Texas kids at the University of Texas, but where SBO at, man?
It's a lot of Texas kids at fucking Alabama too. A lot on their roster.
Hey man, listen. I got two words to say.
I wonder how many Alabama kids is on Alabama.
I got two words. Roll Tide. Like, that's it. Roll Tide first half, Roll Tide second half, Roll Tide full game. Like, just Roll Tide. It would be nice for Texas to cover but I don't see it neither. I'm with Dave as far as start goes. I don't think he's the man for the job. Well, I don't know if Dave thinks that, but I don't think he's the man for the job. I don't know. I think I saw enough over the last 2 years he's been there. I think this is a prove the year for him. I don't know. They did give what was the black dude Strong? They did give Charlie Strong like 4 or 5 years. So I don't know if they're going to give Stark the same deal here. But I just don't. They're out athleted, they're out coached, and they're just not built to beat this team yet. I don't know. I see you, SBO. I don't know, if they will be. I don't know what the recruiting is like going on in Texas. I know now that NIL deal is here, money will start pouring.
And it's live as A&M, but go ahead.
Right. And A&M taking a lot of kids as well, like you just said. But Bryce Young, man, and I like Bijan Robinson, the running back for Texas, but like that's one thing, even when we see Alabama lose, that most teams still don't be able to do on them is run the ball. You know what I'm saying? They're always big and fast and physical up front. Like the recipe to beating Alabama is spreading them out, running quarterback, or have a Deshaun Watson or Trevor Lawrence that that's NFL type quarterback, first round, that can pick you apart and score enough points to outscore them. But I don't even know if you can do that with Bryce Young and the way that offense was rolling. I know it was against Utah State, but I think they're going to make Texas look just like Utah State. Not saying Utah State and Texas are the same, but Alabama's going to make them look like the same. I like the 11. I like the 20. Coach, you can put me on both. This will be a
11 and a half
go for Alabama. I don't think this game will be close. I know 20 is a lot. This is going to be like Clemson and Georgia Tech. This is going to be 45, 48, almost 50 to like 13. A touchdown, 2 field goals type shit. I don't think Texas is going to muster up enough points, and specifically because Alabama will be up for this game. It's the first big game, quote unquote, of the season. It's Texas. They'll be up. So it's not like you're going to catch them sleeping. And Ragu mentioned it earlier, just another Saban assistant coming to take an ATS loss because he beats all his assistants. Put me on Bama.
All right. Man, y'all know me, man. I love Bama in situations like this. First half, let me get it.
This is the hoodoo play of the day.
Make some good plays. Special teams, defensive stop, Sark being overwhelmed. Give me Bama first half minus 11 and a half. Get in and get out.
SBO's comment right there.
Cornbread fed.
I was thinking you were talking about how you can't run in Alabama because they always have the biggest, fastest defensive front. I was thinking those corn-fed Southern boys. That's exactly what I was thinking, and he said it.
Cornbread fed Alabama.
I remember Julio
Anderson
for
shouldn't
sure.
even be fair.
Yeah.
Like, he's not even fair, bro. He shouldn't be that big and that fast and that agile, that tall and that long. Like, that shit not fair.
Yeah, he got good points.
I think Marley hates Texas more than I do.
You say what?
I think Marley hates Texas UT more than I do.
I'm not the biggest UT fan.
If you from around here, we don't like UT.
I haven't been a fan since Vince Young.
We were Vince Young fans. We were Vince Young fans.
And I'm only a Vince Young fan because he's
majority of Houston. Yeah, majority of Houston were Vince Young fans. Because around that time, we just got sick and tired of all this talent going to UT. And a lot of talent got lost in the mix. I mean, some great talent really got lost in the mix.
Those UT teams were good though. That Vince Young team, those years, that defense. That's when they had.
But even after that, they were living off it. The recruiting that started coming in the next 4 or 5 years off of that national championship. By the time we were sophomores in college, they had some guys, and they just dropped the ball on them. But anywho, that's a whole nother. The best
See
that
you
never
next week,
was.
Doc. Get Doc on next week. We're gonna try to get it on.
The best that never was conversation, man. But I guess we all like. Well, so Dave likes Texas, and you make a great point, and this line is definitely wrong.
Yeah, if you like Texas, you gotta. I mean, UT. I mean, shit. If you like Bama, you gotta take it now.
Yeah. So
anything, they can cover 23, 24, 21, but you don't want to push it.
I'm riding the first half, man. And Marty's going to ride the first half in the full game. So that is what it is. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm the coach. That's Marley Bets. We are Brothas N Bets, and we joined by special guests, Picks from Dave. Big Regu says they got the Georgia boys. The Georgia boys were too slow, and he headed out. Good show. See y'all soon. SBL, I played against Julio Dre, and Julio was a monster. Yes, sir. I do remember seeing some of his clips when he was back in high school. You're right. He did start it. He actually went down there with one of my players that I coached in the All-American game. He started the All-American game. Him and my boy Stoneham, they kind of actually started that All-American, the Under Armour All-American game that actually took over for the Army, because when we were growing up, it was all about that Army All-Star game. Yeah. All right, let's get to our next game. Oh, we went too far. We just added this one on there, Tennessee versus Pitt. This Tennessee is actually my sleeper for the conference.
Our sleeper.
You jumped on them too? Yeah,
I jumped on them too. I said them before you because you're asking the question, remember?
Yeah, well, I go third, so you know. Right. But offhand, I was riding with Tennessee last year. I'm riding with my boy Josh Heupel, who coming from UCF year 2. Now that he has everybody in place, has good 2 years worth of recruiting and some transfers coming in, and he's found his quarterback. He started off with old boy from Michigan, who in the first game showed that he was just a flat out bust. Ended up finishing the year out with Hooker, and Hooker took care of his second opportunity coming over from Virginia Tech, and boom, here we are. Tennessee Volunteers, they are 1-0 against the spread and 1-0 on the year. As far as Pitts, the Panthers are 1-0 and 0-1 against the spread. Had a very close game in the backyard brawl against West Virginia. This line actually opened up in favor of Tennessee -5.5. Right now, it is at 6.5. If you could change that for me real quick, Marley, as a consensus on the board, and the total opened up at 64. Right now, that line is at 66.5 for the over/under.
66.
Let's see. Let me get to these actual factuals real quick. It is a little moving just a tad bit slow on my side. Actual factuals. Tennessee, the over hit 7 out of the last 7 games. They're 4-2 straight up in the last 6 games. The overs also hit 4 out of the last 5 games on the road. The overs also hit 5 out of the last 5 games against an ACC conference opponent. Atlantic Coast conference opponent. They are 15 and 5 straight up in the last 20 games played in the week 2. They are 2-4 against spread in the last 6 games on the Saturday, and 8-1 straight up in the last 9 games when playing as a favorite. Pitt 11-5 against spread in the last 16 games. The unders hit 4 out of the last 6. They are 6-1 straight up in the last 7 games. 5-1 straight up in the last 6 games at the crib. 16-4 straight up in the last 20 games played on week 2. They're 1-5 against the spread in the last 6 games when playing as a underdog. Injury reports right now. Brew McCoy, wide receiver, he's questionable for this game. Mohan and Whitehead have been suspended at the linebacker and running backs position. Jake McConaughey, wide receiver for Pitt, he is out. He's questionable, and Rodney Hammond Jr., left last game and is questionable for this game. And then it says left team. I need to do some Twitter research to see what that's about. Last time we saw Tennessee, they won the spread. They beat Ball State 59-10. And like I said, when we seen Pitt, they won 38-31 in a great game against West Virginia in week 0. Was that week 0 or was that last week?
Last week.
Okay, I'm tripping. Ready to get up out of here. Anywho, Tennessee, Pitt, Marley, what's the play for this one?
I like the over here, 66. Last game, for like you just mentioned on with Pitt, they gave up 31 points, over 400 yards total offense combined, over 190 yards, almost 200 yards rushing, over 200 yards passing. And they haven't, and West Virginia's offense doesn't even come close to what they're going to see against Tennessee. So I definitely like the over 66. Like we said earlier, Tennessee is one of my sleeper teams in the SEC. Obviously, I don't pick them to win the SEC. They're not ready to go against the Georgias and the Bamas. But their offense is definitely for real. They averaged 39.93 points a game, and the defense gave up 29 points a game. You know, part of that is because their offense goes so fast. Part of that is because they're still a pretty, I don't want to say young team, but they just, you know, defensively, they're just not quite there yet. If you bring back 6 from the defense, it's kind of hard to gauge based off who they play because, you know, Ball State ain't really nobody. But Pitt and West Virginia, even though it was a rivalry, those kids that played in that rivalry, the last time that rivalry was, those kids were not even, I think they were in high school, or it's been like 10 years or something like that. So I don't even think those kids really fed into the rivalry like that. And for West Virginia to hang with that Pitt team, it's going to be a different show. I like the over. I'm not sure about the 6 yet. I lean Tennessee. I haven't gotten to the window, but I'm already at the window on the over. So as of now, put me on the over. Keep up on the Twitter on the side.
So it's actually at 66 with the hook. Do you still like that over the hook?
Yeah, I still like this. Tennessee might score 40.
All right. Picks from Dave. Do you have a play for this one?
I do. I like 2 bets again. And by the way, at WinBet you can get it for 65 still. So I don't. You guys are in Texas. You can't use. You can't
go over there.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when I go home to California. I use all the offshores. I can't in California, but in Arizona, I can do everything I want. So, even cap in my underwear, which I do all the time. So here's the deal. I index this, and this is shocking to me. Tennessee on the road as a 0.5-point favorite. So I really thought about taking Pitt, and I can get them at 7. And the line's dropping. It dropped a half a point. But here's the deal. Pitt's defense looked not so great against West Virginia. Yeah. And I know Kedon Slovis very, very well. Obviously, he took JT Daniels' job. That's what his game last week was so interesting to me. And on the over, and that both those guys can sling. But when JT Daniels got hurt, Kedon Slovis took his job. And after he had a great season that year as a redshirt freshman, he came back and he was a Heisman candidate. And then it kind of fizzled out because of COVID and all that. But this dude was taught by Kurt Warner. That was his high school coach in Arizona. So I like the over too. That's my official bet. And I'll take it at 65, 66, whatever. I don't know how many people came back on Tennessee's defense. They gave up points. I saw that Purdue-Tennessee game at the end of the year last year. I was on Tennessee. I like Hooker a lot. I think – I don't know if he's a NFL quarterback. I think if he maybe ate a little bit more and was coached differently, he could. But I really think he's super talented. They score a shit ton of points, and Kedon Slovis can sling too. And neither of these defenses are elite. So I'm on the over.
All right, just to answer your question, they got 6 returning on the defense, primarily at the middle linebacker, at the linebacker and the defensive backs position, which actually kind of fits right into. And we got to look up that information about Hammond. Like they're talking about left team, that has to be some fake information.
Sorry to cut you off, but I guess it doesn't matter who's coming back or not, because even if they're coming new or coming back, they gave up a lot of points last year. So it's either new guys or guys that came back that weren't that great.
But they shouldn't have they should have an opportunity to. I mean, they gotta improve, especially year 2 underneath that that running back. I mean, excuse me, underneath the head coach and the defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
But hold on one second. Let me see this information. Latest information. Yeah, I don't think I see anything. So he is injured. Okay, could have something to do with foot, but he seems to be okay. All right, so he didn't lead the team, but he is. They are saying that he's okay to play, so he will be playing. Anywho, man, I kind of want to take Tennessee right here, and just based off, I think they can win in the shootout by more than 7 points. I really like them right here. What West Virginia did, and West Virginia is not that good. They can run the ball, but they're not that good for Pitt. And Pitt got some luck on their side as well during that game. I think I'm going to take Tennessee. I'm going to take Tennessee right here with the 7.
Pitt should have lost that game. They got lucky.
They should have lost that game. But I think Tennessee with the style, again, this is that style of call. This is one of them games I like to play. Bet live quarters on quarterback Tennessee. Wait to Pitt score. Take Tennessee with the spread plus money. It'll be like plus 6.5. Like those type of shits where I know they offense can get down the field and at least give me a field goal. Or if they get 3 and out, or if they have to punt the ball and they do get it back, they still like to go fast paced to where I should at least get 4 possessions, a quarter out of them to produce some points. So I'm going to take Tennessee right here. Hopefully the SEC defense can step up against the ACC, right, Marley? And then I can cash that shit in.
Defensive-minded team.
It don't matter. It's SEC. It's where the big boys play. So
right.
They gotta. I need it for this game. So I like Pitt. I like Tennessee minus 6.5 for this one. But you could definitely catch me doing some live quarter bets on this one as well. Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm the coach. That's Marley Bets, and that's PicksFromDave. And we got 3 more games we're going to cover. And we're going to stay right into the SEC with another SEC matchup. And that is the Florida, my underdog money line pick from this past weekend, taking on the Kentucky Wildcats, a team that a lot of people have high hopes for, not only for the team overall, but for this quarterback to be a future first rounder. This game is going down in the Swamp, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You got the Wildcats 1-0 against the spread against the Florida Gators, 1-0 want to go against the spread as well. This line opened up in favor of the Gators minus 5.5. Money's coming in. We got it 4.5. There are some 5s out there as well on the board. As far as the total opened up at 51.5, and we still have it at 50. It's actually up at 52.5 right now. So we got to get that one fixed up. Get to these actual factuals. Kentucky 5-0 straight up in the last 5 games, 4-0-1 against the spread in the last 5 games against Florida, but 2-18 straight up in the last 20 games against Florida. They are 1-12 straight up in the last 13 games when playing on the road against Florida. 6-3 against the spread in the last 9 games against an SEC conference opponent, and 5-1 straight up in the last 6 games when played on the September. And the unders hit 4 out of the last 5 games when playing against an opponent from the East Division. Now, Florida Gators 1-7 against the spread in the last 8 games, 5-0 straight up in the last 5 games at the crib, 12-1 straight up when playing in the last 13 games against Kentucky at the crib, but only 1-5 against the spread against an SEC conference opponent. The overs hit 4 out of the last 6 games when played in week 2 for the Gators, and they're 6-2 against the spread in the last 8 games in the month of September. For Kentucky, Chris Rodriguez Jr., running back, who's been out here tripping, he's out indefinitely for the suspension. As far as the Gators, Jadon here, defensive back, he's questionable. Bergen, tight end, Arliss Boardingham, he is questionable as well. And offensive lineman David Connors questionable also. Like I said, Kentucky beat Miami, Ohio 37-13 to cover the spread in one of the games of the week. Florida beat Utah 29-26. So With that being said, Dave, I'm gonna let you take this one first. Do you have a play?
I almost do. SBO's making me think that I should bet this play.
I think he's done. SBO.
No, not that one. The other one. The next, like the under. The under is the only thing I consider. Here's why. I don't know about UK. Kentucky's defense wasn't tested at all by Miami of Ohio, but Florida's was, and they did a really good job. I was not impressed with Florida's offense. I was very impressed with Florida's defense, holding Cam Rising down like they did. Granted, I know at the end of the game he looked like he was playing hurt. But I think they're one of the better defenses in the SEC. It just seems that way to me. And I know UK has the dude at QB. It just feels like an under to me. I'm gonna stay off, but I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna think about it. I might be betting it come game time. But as far as official bets and advice for potential bettors, there are other games I like more. I think.
Gotcha, Marley. What is your play for this game?
SEC on goddamn SEC Chrome. Y'all know I had chop, goddamn it. Gatorville. Only thing that worries me, I hope the Gators aren't on a high, but here's why I don't think they will be. Kentucky beat Florida last year in Kentucky. This is technically a revenge game. If you're looking back, if I'm a coach, that's the card I'm playing. And coach, you told me this yourself. If I believe I'm not mistaken, Bill Napier is a fucking cross every T, dot every I kind of coach. So I believe he will have them ready. This game is also in the swamp. It's going to be jumping. I'm not so sure Kentucky's defense, which is returning 10, is going to be able to slow down Florida's offense. Dave wasn't impressed with the offense. For considering the fact that first year in the offense, all those kids just having to learn it. Very big game, a lot of pressure. I think they did.
He got the athletes that work right. Like I said, he got the athletes that work right into his system.
I agree. I completely 100% agree. They did score 29 points. They did get over 459 total yards. They were pretty goddamn balanced. They got
What's up, Mason? What's up?
I won't say balanced. They didn't throw the ball as well as you probably would have liked them to. But
I said Mason Manson. My bad.
They did run the fucking ball.
That's what I meant. I'm going to clarify what I said. They look one-dimensional to me right now. Right now, they look like a run first team.
And I think that will come. And coach, I ask you this, Dave. I pose the same question. You are a 5-star recruit in high school. Where are you going? You have 2 full scholarships. You going to Kentucky or you going to Florida?
I'm going to USC, but the second choice. No, I'm 100% agreeing with you. I'm high on Florida too. I just I want the game to be more balanced than just run first, but that's just me.
Jonathan Manson, appreciate that. Yeah, I'm on Florida. Give me the 5.
Shout out to Manson, man. Manson gave us our first tip ever.
Oh wow.
Appreciate that too. Nice sizable amount too for a first tip. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm on Florida, man. I like the 4.5, excuse me. I think they cover. I think it's just too much. I like this Kentucky team, but SBO mentioned it earlier because they only ran the ball for like 50 yards, if I'm not mistaken. I think did Smoke get hurt, if I'm not mistaken, a running back. But if they can't run the ball, which is already gonna be tough enough to do against Florida anyway, if they can't run the ball, they're going to be in trouble. They can't be one-dimensional. I don't think Levi going to be able to do what he did against Miami of Ohio. Keep in mind, last thing before I go, that game was like 13-10 at halftime. It wasn't until third quarter till Kentucky finally took off. And Dave brought this up too. Florida's battle tested. Kentucky kind of had a cakewalk, so we kind of don't know where Kentucky is right now. I know where Florida is right now. I think they're one of the at least 10 best teams in the country, considering the conference. So I like Florida. I'll take the 4.5. I'll swallow the 4.5. Give it to me.
All right, I'm gonna stay off of this game, but I would definitely. I just would lean towards. I would lean towards Florida. Yo, so Connor Johnson, I did not know that. I was wondering why Washington was struggling over the weekend. I did not know that he left Washington State and went to Arizona. That's a big pickup for that organization or that program. DeLaur's legit. He was nice. I saw him his freshman year coming out of Florida, out of Washington State. As far as this game, I would lean Florida on this one, but I'm not gonna be watching that game really too much because there's gonna be other games going on. So, like I said, if I was to make a lean, I definitely would lean towards Florida with the 4.5. But we'll see. There's a lot of experience coming on the Kentucky side of the ball, though they haven't been battle tested. Still very impressive what Florida was able to do on both sides of the ball with a very experienced Utah team that has everybody coming back, has their coordinators, their head coach, and for Florida to put everything together over spring ball and then the 2 days and then go out there and put on a show like that. Like I said, his system isn't hard to learn, and he has the athletes that can run it. Did y'all see him at the end of the game? Napier was damn near about to cry because he was like, "Oh my God, AR-15! I can't believe I got a player like him." Like, yeah, motherfucker, that's your dream. You've never had nothing like this. So, and that was funny. He legit looked like he was about ready to cry. But anywho, I'm off this one.
Future.
What'd you say?
You see the future.
He was he was like, they trust me. He's great. Look at the Aces. Aces coming back.
I'll tell you what, and I don't know if Coach wants to hear this because he's an FSU guy, but I think it would be so great to have Florida good again, and challenge those other two teams in the SEC. And I think maybe not this year, and I don't know how well they recruit, but I think Napier was such a good fit here, and if they can get some mojo going, man, I would love to see them challenge out, Bama and Georgia.
Yeah, no, I'm with it. I'm excited for them. I'm excited for the whole state of Florida. Just college football is a lot better when they're doing good and when Texas doing good. A&M's doing good. Longhorns, you got a chance to let us know that if you're finally back, but we just don't see it, bro. We just don't see it. Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. And with that being said, we are going to talk about a Texas team next. We're talking about Marley's SEC champs. Marley's Big 12 champs, the Baylor Bears, as they take on a BYU team, the Mormons, up there in the mountains. This game's going down 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. Perfect. Late night, West Coast game. Baylor Bears 1-0 against the spread, taking on the BYU Cougars 1-0 and 1-0 against the spread. That if you have a great day, you want to cash out, this is that game. And this is if you had a terrible day and you want to make one more deposit.
Might not be the best cash out day.
You want to make one more deposit. You're like, all right, I'm just going to take the Baylor Bears money line play. Because that's what people going to do. The money going to come in on Baylor late. They're going to be like, man, we on the Bears just because they desperate. Anywho, this line opened up in favor of BYU minus 2.5. Right now, that line's at 3.5. And a total opened up at 52.5. And right now, that line is at, hold on, what did I say? The line for this game actually went up to 3.5, and the total has gone up as well to 53, actually. So we need to lower that down a little bit. Get to these actual factuals for this game. We got BYU, to start off with Baylor. 5-1 against spread in the last 6 games. The unders hit 5 out of the last 6. They are 6-0 straight up in the last 6 games. The unders also hit 5 out of the last 7 games on the road. 4-2 straight up in the last 6 games against an independent conference opponent. 9-0 straight up in the month of September. And we got the BYU Cougars. They're 3-6 against spread in the last 9 games. The overs hit 5 out of the last 6. They are 6-1 straight up in the last 7 games. 14-1 straight up in the last 15 games played at the crib. 7-1 against spread in the last 8 games against a Big 12 conference opponent. 7-0 straight up in the last 7 games in the month of September. The unders hit 4 out of the last 5 games in week 2 and 4-2 against spread in the last 6 games played at the crib on a Saturday night. So we're gonna go to the West Coast. Since we are in the West Coast, we're gonna take that Picks by Dave picks. Do you have a play for this one? If you do, let's hear it.
I do. This is one of my favorite games of the weekend. And you're right. This is the game where I'll probably have a headache from drinking too much beer and not actually getting drunk. That's usually what happens by the late game on Saturday. Mm-hmm. But Provo, let me say this. That campus and that area is beautiful. I drive past it every year. I take a trip up to South Dakota, and I love that area. But weird things happen there. I know my Trojans went there 3 years ago. That was, and I don't use the word lock, but I had a lock bet there, and they got smashed by BYU. And BYU is what I call an elephant hunter. They're never going anywhere, but they spoil the party for
we didn't cover that
contender. But I like Baylor all day here, and I wonder why that. I have Baylor as a 3-point favorite on the road, a little over a 3-point favorite, and this is crazy to me. Not only is Baylor ranked, but AP is ranking Baylor higher. I know BYU is at home, but this is a Big 12 team that has a defense, so they can score and they have a defense. And this is also my Big 12 winner too, because I'm down on Oklahoma this year, unlike everyone else. But I'm on Baylor. Give me all the points I can get on Baylor. They're gonna have. I think they're gonna have better athletes. They're the better team. They're ranked higher. This line is weird to me, which usually is a bad sign. But this is one of my favorite games. I look forward to watching this one for sure.
Yeah, West Coast. They thinking about West Coast travel against the grown men. All right, he likes Baylor Baylor plus the 3.5. The hook is out there. Mm-hmm. Marley, what's the play for this one?
Yeah, man, I'm kind of with Dave here. When I first saw this line, I didn't understand what the fuck I was looking at. Why is Baylor 3.5? And I like this BYU team, or at least I liked them last year. I mean, early, like the first 6-7 games, they were fucking rolling, and I was making money each and every week with them. And they look good against week 1 for what it's worth. It's kind of hard to gauge week 1. You're playing against powder puffs for the most part. They played USF 50-21. Baylor played Alabama State. I think Alabama A&M or somebody 69-10. But I like Baylor here. I'm a fan of Dave Arnetta, the coach. I like what he does defensively. Both these teams, I'm kind of surprised the total is at what it is. I kind of want to lean under 53, but that's kind of sketchy in college totals these days. But man, both these teams, I mean, BYU is returning 10 on fucking defense. Off a defense that, they gave up 24 points a game. That's not too bad, considering they play a lot of teams that like to get up and down and score. And Baylor is returning 7 on defense. And we all know how good their defense was. 18 points a game last year, second in the Big 12, 10th overall in the nation. But I like Baylor here, man. I just don't understand why they're getting 3.5. I'll take it. I kind of lean under with both these defenses, but I'm scared of college unders. So I'm staying off the under, but give me Baylor, give me the 3.5 points. I picked this team to win the Big 12. I think they're one of the 10 best teams in the country.
Is this starting quarterback the guy from this is the guy that came in for the championship game, right?
Yeah, Sharpen, something like that.
Got you. All right, so you money lining it or you
Sharpen? Nah, put me on the 3.5, man. The line's a little sketchy. I do like this BYU team. Like I said, they are returning 10 on defense. It's a weird place to play at night, like Dave said. this team is always BYU scares me because you got grown men because they go take the 2-year sabbatical and then they come back. You got fucking grown men playing against kids. Not only are returning 10 on defense, they're returning 8 on offense, including the quarterback, Jaron McNeil. They're gonna be able to run the ball and be physical. That's why the total is kind of, I guess it's right where it needs to be, 53, but I still leave under. This is gonna be like a 48, 47, I think, type game. This is 24-21 type ball game, in my opinion. I don't know. But I like the point. I think this is gonna be a close game, either way. But yeah, I'll take the 3.5, put them in my back pocket.
Yeah. Like I said, if I have a great day, let me take BYU money line. If I have a bad day, I'm taking Baylor money line at the end of the day type of game. So I don't have a play on this one. This is all gonna matter towards how I feel towards the end of the night, because we're gonna cover another game that's gonna start late that I have a little bit more insight on. I don't know. That's just tricky. That's a tricky game. 3.5 too.
BYU at night.
That's a lot of people. 10 on defense. Come on, man.
A lot. 10 on defense. 8 on offense. And your quarterback.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So
that's a little scary for me.
It just, I don't know. I don't know, Dave. I don't know how I'm gonna feel at the end of the night. But Connor, we're glad you're here. Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm the coach. This is Marley Bets. Let's get to our last and final game. And if you missed some games that we are covered, that you think we covered, we will have these videos cut up. Let's jump right into it. Another late night game. Oregon State taking on Fresno State, two teams that I followed last year because Pac-12 after dark and Fresno State actually cost me some money in that first half this week. But we're going to talk about it. Oregon State Beavers 1-0 against the Spirit, 1-0 on the year. Going into Bulldog Stadium at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to take on the Fresno State Bulldogs, who are 1-0 on the year, but 0-1 against the spread. This line opened up in favor of Oregon State -1, and that line has since flipped to Fresno, but now it has flipped right back again in favor of Oregon State. The total opened up at 60.5, and right now that line it jumped down to 59.5, but that line has gone up once again. So let's go ahead and take care of these lines so the people can get it, and we can make our plays. Get to these actual factors real quick. Excuse me. Oregon State looking great last week. They won 34-17 against Boise State, and I told Gambling G, told Grayloss, he was like, man, over the phone, I was like, bro, but he called me, and I was like, bro, Oregon State real, man. I said, hey, don't let it fool you. Don't let the record last you fool. Them boys is real. They got some good defensive backs. They got some good receivers, and they run the ball, and the quarterback is a manageable guy. Fresno State, they won 35-7 against Cal Poly. Let me down big time in the first half. Get to these actual factuals for Oregon State. The unders hit 4 of the last 5 games. They are 1-9 straight up in the last 10 games on the road. 4-1 against spread last 5 games against a Mountain West Conference opponent. 7-1 against spread last 8 games played in the month of September. And the total has gone under 4 out of the last 6 games played on a Saturday. Now, Fresno State, the total's gone under 4 of the last 5 games. They are 7-1 straight up in the last 8 games. 1-4 against the spread in the last 5 games at home. 6-0 against the spread in the last 6 games against a Pac-12 conference opponent. 6-1 straight up in the last 7 games in the month of September. But 3-10 straight up in the last 13 games when played on the week 2. So we're going to stay on the West Coast, and we're going to ask Dave if he has a pick for this one. Dave, what's the play?
Well, first I want to shout, because Marley is one of the best MLB cappers I know. I'm the shout out to one of Marley's teams, the Orioles. I was on them. They beat the Jays 9-6 at home. So good for us. I don't know if you were playing that, but
I took the over.
Yeah, did you? That game was anyway. Orioles are Marley's favorite team by far. But any
gross.
Well, they're the best team in baseball, right?
The Astros?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, the Orioles. Anyway, this game. Okay, so this game.
Since the break, yeah.
No, I'm joking. I know he always says the best team
That's
in
the
baseball.
thing
The best team in
I
baseball.
say it on the show.
Inside joke. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
the trash can bangers.
Dang 'em, baby.
Oregon State. Okay, so this is the year. Oregon State's another one of those elephant hunters. They are never going anywhere, and then they beat a team that has a chance to get to the playoffs or win. Go to the Pac-12 championship or something. This year, they're supposed to be a lot better. I don't disagree with that because a lot better is better than horrible. I have them as a 2.5-point favorite on the road. The problem is what people don't see. They beat Boise State. Great. People see Boise State as a good team, but Boise State had 5 turnovers. So let's adjust. Let's adjust that. They actually had 2 quarterbacks that gave up interceptions, I think.
Yep.
So let's adjust that a little bit. And here's the other part too. Fresno State, and I've seen this because they used to play USC all the time, but they play Pac-12 teams every year. They give the Pac-12 everything they can handle. So this game to me, there's no wonder why the line's jumping back and forth. That's kind of what like close college basketball games do, where they jump back 3-0 back and forth. So I'm going to look at this game too. I'm leaning Oregon State, but I have no play in this because, like I said, Oregon State is the better team in my opinion. They turned the ball over too much last game, and Fresno State's a beast against the Pac-12. So I'm off this game.
Marley, what's the play? Marley, can't hear you, Pop. We lost Marley.
Nah, I'm muted. My bad. I was muted. What Big Boss say? Big Boss,
you see why they only school? Oh,
on paper, Fresno State might look good, but Fresno State defense.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Back to what I was about to say. Big Boss.
I saw that, Connor. I watched the game. Go ahead, my bad, bro.
I was just telling Big Boss the SEC was 13-1 over this past weekend, and Louisville got stomped.
Big Boss, you saw them cramps?
And did you see the cramps in the Utah game? This is covered because he wasn't here earlier when he was talking about those things. But anywho, all right, back to the game. I'll make this short and sweet. I'm on the Beavers. We was talking about this in the chat. I wish I would have gave it as a play. We didn't cover this game though. I told y'all, Coach, I'm on the Beavers. I kind of caught this team a little bit last year, and they're a tough team. Then you got the quarterback, Nolan. He didn't play the best. He threw 2 turnovers, but he's a leader out there. And they dropped a couple touchdowns that he should have had. Yes, they turned the ball over 5 times. 4 of them was in the first half. I think 3 of them was like in the first quarter. But this defense is good, like Coach said. The secondary is cocky. They got tall, long corners that can play press man. And I agree with you. Fresno State is like fucking I don't know what to call them, the Appalachian State of the West Coast. The small school that, like you said, they play Pac-12 teams year in and year out, and they compete. Although they compete, they lost to both of them last year. They did beat UCLA for what that's worth, but lost a tough game to Oregon, which, they only lost by a touchdown, and lost to, what was the other Pac-12 team? I think that was actually it, Oregon and UCLA. So they split. But I think this Oregon State team is actually tougher than both those teams. They're a lot more physical than both those teams tend to be. I'm not high on Oregon, never really have been. And UCLA, they're too like a Pac-12 team. They just want to spread everything out. I just no respect. But Oregon State, I actually like them. They almost play like Texas-style football. They ain't trying to be pretty and spread you all out. Like, they go run the ball. They go play defense. I like Chance Nolan. Definitely working on his deep ball. Like, they say he throws one of the best deep balls in college. He threw a beautiful ass one in the first quarter of that game that I can't think his number, 0. Dropped that hole. Wide open. But, yeah, I like Oregon State. Give me the money line.
It's flip flopping, so just give me the money line. Yeah.
On Oregon State.
Yeah,
I'm
I
right
lean
there with
under
you.
in this game too. I think it's way too many points. I don't know if it's going to be a back and forth.
I'm all on Oregon State. They're going to run the ball. Okay, Nolan's going to manage the clock, and those DBs, some lengthy ass DBs, are going to lock up their receivers. Now, majority of Fresno State's athletic receivers, they left last year. They're only returning one. And I just wasn't really too impressed. That's why I took a lot of quarter bets and first half bet on Fresno State, and I was definitely let down against Cal Poly, a team that they should have been blowing out. But yeah, I'm all over Oregon State right here. That's why I don't really want to focus too much. That's why I don't really have a play, and I didn't really cap that BYU Baylor because I'm all in on this one.
Hopefully you money.
He said thanks for Houston pick.
Hopefully you money lined it. But I tweeted it out. I think boss saw my tweet because I tweeted it on the money line.
Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We're coming up on an hour and a half mark, so let's go ahead and end this with a quick recap. And we're going to start off with our guest, Picks from Dave, at Picks from Dave on Twitter. His place, he likes UTSA and the Army over 54.5. He likes Texas plus 21, and he likes Baylor plus 3 and with the points. Baylor with plus 3.5. I'm sorry.
One more bet.
And you did, what was it? What am I missing?
Pitt over 65.
Pitt over, yeah.
Okay. Tennessee Pitt. I knew I was missing just one. I'm good, but I got it. We got it. Pitt and Army over 54.5 or under 54? Under
65.
Tennessee Pitt 65.
Tennessee Pitt.
Pitt, I'm tripping.
Over.
It's been a long day for you guys.
Yeah. Over what?
66. 65. Dave has 65.
That's what it's telling me, win bet. But I mean, I'll take 66. It's going to go over 70.
Pitt and Tennessee over 65 and a 3.5 on Baylor. Marley, he likes UTSA money line and the over 54.5. Alabama first half minus 11.5 and minus 20. He likes Tennessee and Pitt over 66.5. Florida minus 4.5, Baylor plus 3.5, and Oregon State money line. As far as myself, I like UCF for our Thursday night play minus 3.5. Bama first half minus 11.5. They should be up by 24 at half. They're going to score 24 points in the first quarter. I mean, not first quarter, first half, and it'll be like 24-7. Anywho, Tennessee minus 6.5. I put Baylor money line, but I backed off. But Oregon State money line. I ain't gonna lie to you. If I have a good day, I'm
or no Baylor at all.
Hey, I really want to take that Baylor money line. That's where my mind is at. Like if I have a bad day or if I have a fantastic day, and I'm just like, fuck it, let me just do it. If I have a great day, I'm just gonna fuck it, put 500, 600, 1,000, or something like that on Baylor. And just sit back and coast. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But back to that, I'm really going to take Oregon State. I like what I've seen. I know Fresno State. I followed Fresno State all last year. I think that's Oregon State should be my lock of this week. I went 0-1 last week. But my lock of the day is Alabama minus 11.5 first half. I'm sorry.
You guys hate Texas more than I do. That's what I said.
I just love taking Alabama with low first half. I know how they play. I watched every first half of Alabama last year, and this is a Christmas gift right here, minus 11.5.
All right, since you did that, that's easy. My lock of the day. You know what? Stick my chest out today. I got 2 locks of the day, Coach. 2. It's gonna be a good day for me today this week. Oregon State money line, book it.
That's what I really want to do.
Tennessee, Pittsburgh over 66 lock, book it.
You think Tennessee will get 40? That's what you banking on. 40 points, 42 points, huh?
At least 37, 38.
Because I don't see Buddy. I just don't like what I saw out of Buddy for quarterback Slovic, I didn't like what I saw. For Pitt, yeah, I didn't like what I saw.
Tennessee defense just not. It's not.
Go to 2019. Go to 2019. Look at his stats before COVID.
He was doing his thing. I remember
going into 2020 before COVID sent a bunch of kids' careers astray. But going into 2020, dude was top 5 Heisman candidate.
I remember, but he did not.
Bro, Tennessee's defense gave up 29 points a game.
He had over 300 passing yards too.
Over 273 yards passing.
It's a new year. That's all I'm saying. It's a new year. Year 2, you really go through a full spring training and off season with your coordinator because you had new coaches last year. That's what I'm saying. It's a new year.
Fair. All that fair. My thing is this though. Pittsburgh offense is going to get every opportunity because no matter the score, Tennessee's going fast and they're going to try to score. So they're going to get every opportunity. The clock is going to stop all the time. So it's just every opportunity for this score to go over. If Pittsburgh gets 27, this score probably goes over.
Hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. I am the coach. That's Marley Bets, and that's our guest, PicksFromDave. You can catch him on our baseball show. And he will be back definitely to be back on the NCAA show, especially if we got some good prime time game of the weeks with SC. Real quick, do you have a play on SC versus Stanford? What's your play on that?
I don't because Stanford's the team. Stanford is that team.
Yes.
That pisses in my punch.
Yeah.
Don't be a puss.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Well, no,
he's being smart. He's being smart with this one.
I went to a game in 2007. It was the game. Harbaugh was there. It was 4th and 17, and they completed it. And then they went. I think they tied it up. And I can't remember. This is the thing.
Richard Sherman.
Yeah, exactly. I was blackout first of all. But second of all, that's the year that I was like, these guys are gonna piss in my punch, and they've done it 3 or 4 times since then. So no, I'm it's not being a pussy, it's just smart with my money. I'm gonna love. I'm staying. My wallet is not getting anywhere near that game.
Too early, SBO. Too early. Brian Kelly will be all right. He wins every week.
Yeah, and Jaden Daniels didn't look bad. I mean, of course, he was scrambling for his life. Again, on that FSU game, Florida State could have easily blown them out. But Novik just started doing stupid shit. But anywho, hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in. You can check us out tomorrow on our first edition NFL Picks Plays. I'm the coach. That's Marley Bets. And we're joined once again by PicksFromDave. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe, follow us on all of our social media. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, because we throw different picks on different outlets. So catch him. Marley went 3-0 last week with his Twitter peaks. So
I think I'm like 7-1 in the last 3 days in Twitter, 2 weekends in Twitter. 3-0 on Big Boss Show. Y'all check out Who Banging tomorrow too.
But that's all we got, man. Marley, if you can hit him with the prayer, we can get out of here.
As always, man, y'all know what it is. That right there, that's the coach. The homie down there, that's PicksFromDave, and I am Marley Bets, and this is Brothas N Bets, and like last week, definitely like this week, and for sure, like next week, y'all already know what it is, man. Let's beat Vegas. We out this
Check it out. Look, we from the bottom, ain't no problems. We gon' make a way. Got no coach on the field, but we making plays.